Hey, my name is Brent here on Cloudy with a Chance of Meeples. Time to do another video all about Everdell. And this one is going to be our top 5, or my top 5 adornment cards from the Pearlbrook expansion. And if you follow the channel, you know that Everdell is my favorite game. My wife and I, Nicole, played it like 250 times. We absolutely love Everdell. And we've done top 10 favorite cards. We did a revised top 10. I've done my favorite forest locations, special events, visitors for New Leaf. I've done so many of these videos. And so now I'm going to talk about my 5 favorite adornment cards from the Pearlbrook expansion. And I will say that I have the oversized cards, the big cards for Everdell. So I just want to show, well, I'll refer to some of these cards with the adornment cards. And so that's why these cards are so much bigger. And so at the time of recording, this is not on out for retail, but they just recently had a Kickstarter. But just in case you're wondering why my cards look different than yours, that is the reason. So I'm just going to dive in, no pun intended, my 5 favorite adornment cards for Pearlbrook. And I really like that mechanic of the adornment cards. You need to spend pearls to get them or to activate them, and then you also need the pearls to then use to buy wonders, which replace the special or replace the basic events if you haven't played Pearlbrook. But let's just dive in. So my number 5 is the Sea Glass Amulet. This is actually a special one for me for a couple reasons. Because A, I like it. It gains you 3 resources, draws 2 cards, and a straight victory point, and then at the end is worth 3 victory points. And so sometimes I feel in Pearlbrook, it's like resources are tight. And I don't know why they feel tighter, but to me they do. Because when you have those river destinations, you have to kind of plan which cards you're going to build so that you can go get those pearls. Because like I said, the pearls are the main thing in Pearlbrook. And sometimes it's like, I don't know what resource, or like I can't get, this combination of these 3 specific resources. But when you use this Sea Glass Amulet, you have a chance to do just that. So you get any 3 resources. You can draw 2 cards, which again, when you claim a wonder, you have to discard cards. So that'll help. And then you get just a straight victory point. And then it's worth 3 at the end. And it's also, this is kind of like a personal thing. One of the reasons I love this card as well is because for Christmas a couple years ago, actually I think it was last year, I got a custom pendant made for Nicole of the Sea Glass Amulet. And this is actually one of the pearls from our copy of Pearlbrook glued in there. And so this is a special card, and just a little nod to mine and my wife's love for the game. So my number 5 is the Sea Glass Amulet. Brings us to number 4, and this is the Spyglass. Okay, so I guess it's a little bit weaker version of the Sea Glass Amulet. You only get 1 resource and 1 card, but you gain a pearl back. So pretty much it's like you gain a card and a resource for free because you gain that pearl back That's like a tongue twister. You gain the pearl back that you spend to activate the card. And then just 3 extra victory points for wonders. So, that 25 point wonder can turn into 28 points. I've had it where I've been able to get like the Hope Watch Gate and the bridge. So 31 victory points from this Spyglass Adornment, because the one is worth 15, the other one's worth 20. Sorry, one's worth 10, and the other one's worth 15, so 25. And then 3 and 3 is 31. And so this can get you a lot of victory points because those wonders are massive. I get it. They need cards to discard. You need a boatload of resources as well as a lot of pearls. So they can be tricky to get to. But when you can pull it off and you have the Spyglass, it's just oh so satisfying. So my number 4 is the Spyglass. time to look at number 3. This is the Mask. You play a card worth up to 3 for free. So it's pretty much a queen that you don't have to spend a worker to get, or you don't have to spend a worker to activate. And then 1 victory point for every 3 victory points you have at the end of the game. So, I'm thinking things like the fairy ferret. If you can dovetail this one with the Mask and just get a ton of victory points, for every 3 you have, you get an additional one. There's been games of Pearlbrook where I've gotten like 30 victory points and had the Mask. So this Adornment then scores me an additional 10 at the end, which is absolutely amazing. So I love the Mask. And like I said, if you're playing with some of the cards from the Glimmer Gold pack or the extra, so the Town Crier give 2 cards away to an opponent for 3 victory points, things like that. It's a green production card. You can reactivate it. So if you can use some of those cards, of course, if you're playing with the Monk and one of my favorite cards, the Woodcarver, the Doctor, just a bunch of green cards will allow you to gain victory points. And then again, you just build your city kind of around those green production cards that gain you a bunch of victory points, and then you play that Mask, and then you just, 1 for every 3. So that's why I like the Mask. But there's 2 more I like more than that. Number 2 is the Sundial. You may activate production for up to 3 green production cards in your city. So, like I said, I just mentioned cards like the Town Crier, the Monk, you can chip sweep to activate the Monk again, so you can just get a whole bunch of victory points. And then if you have other cards like the Harbor, if you have at least 2 pearls, gain 2 resources. Of course, you'd have to have 3 pearls at the beginning, spend 1 to activate the Sundial, then use the other 2. Well, you don't use them. You just have them so that you can use the Harbor. Fairy Ferret, at least 2, gain 2. So if you have like the Fairy Ferret and the Harbor, those 2 pearls are gaining you 2 victory points and 2 resources, which is so satisfying. And so there's just a whole bunch of green cards that I fall in love with because they give you victory points, like I said, the Monk, the Woodcarver, the Doctor, the Town Crier. Also, if you're playing with the Carnival gives you either resources or you can draw cards, and it's a green production card, so that can help you out a lot. And so, yeah, I love the Sundial. But I do not love the Sundial as much as the Compass. The Compass. You may reactivate 2 Tan Travelers in your city. And if you know where I'm going with this, it's pretty obvious. If I can reactivate my Ranger, and if I can reactivate, say, my Ruins, that's just the best. Like, reactivate my Ranger gets me another victory, or just another quote-unquote turn, or another worker, per se. Fantastic. Redoing the Bard. So if you can time your play right, you've played the Bard, discarded 5 cards, 5 victory points, reactivate it, discard 5 cards, get another 5 victory points. Absolutely fantastic. And then, of course, 1 victory point for every Tan Traveler in your city. And I love, like I said, I love the Ruins. I love the Bard. I love the Wanderer. Gains you cards. Doesn't take space up in your city. The Ranger. In Pearlbrook, you also have like the Pirate. Discard up to 4 cards to draw and reveal equal amount of cards if the total base value is drawn is at least 7, gain a pearl. Sometimes you need those pearls so you can get those wonders. And so if you can reactivate your Pirate, that can sometimes be like an absolute game changer, or can really save your game. And of course, then the Pirate doesn't take up space in your city, is also a common critter, and there are 3 of them. So if you have the Compass and you can have 2, if you can even find all 3 of them, that would be amazing. But I for sure played games where I've had 2 two Pirates in my city. I just realized that these aren't. Oh yeah, it is. Pirate ship, but I was gonna say these aren't all the cards in Pearlbrook, but I believe it is. But that is my number one. It is the Compass. Absolutely love it. What are your favorite adornment cards in Everdell? I hope, if you're watching, that this kind of gave you a little bit of insight, maybe some strategy. Maybe you don't know all the ins and outs on how to play with some of these cards or whatever, and I've maybe helped you out in that regard. Let me know in the comments, what are your favorites? Till next time, my name is Brent. Grab your umbrella. The forecast is cloudy with a chance of meeples.